"Open the door, sir, or we will break it down." That's what Deputy Harrison said through the bullhorn as I looked out the window of my own cabin to see 3 squad cars, an HOA board member, and one furious woman in a rhinestone-covered tracksuit, pointing at my porch like she was directing military operations. I had no idea what was happening. I was holding a mug of chamomile tea and wearing socks with little owls on them. Then came the kicker. The deputy yelled, "We have reports you're squatting on private rental property belonging to Mrs. Linda Garrison." I blinked. Linda Garrison. I owned this place outright. Who the hell was Linda Garrison? Let me back up and tell you how I ended up with half the police force at my door on a Saturday morning. My name is Thomas Brennan, and I'm a semi-retired software engineer who bought my log cabin in Cedar Ridge Hollow back in 2004. I kept to myself, maintained the walking trails, and occasionally taught local kids about astronomy using my telescope on clear nights. The cabin sits on 3 acres of beautiful wooded land that I'd paid off completely 8 years ago. Everything changed when the nearby subdivision of Meadowstone Estates expanded its jurisdiction. Well, unofficially expanded is more accurate. Enter Linda Garrison, newly elected HOA president and self-proclaimed vacation rental mogul with an Instagram account called Linda's Luxury Escapes. She had decided that the unincorporated land surrounding Meadowstone Estates would be better managed under HOA supervision, and she had very specific plans for my cabin. Linda first approached me in early March under the guise of community partnership. She showed up at my door with a fake smile and a binder thicker than a phone book. She said with a syrupy sweet tone that my charming rustic home would be perfect for premier guest rentals and curated mountain experiences. She actually used the word curated 3 times in one sentence. I declined politely and offered her some coffee, which she refused because it wasn't organic, fair trade, single origin. I should have known then what I was dealing with. She returned a week later, this time with 2 other HOA board members and a folder full of what she called easement opportunities and a color-coded spreadsheet labeled Q2 cabin revenue projections. She spoke in that condescending tone people use when they think you're too stupid to understand their brilliance. "Your property is underutilized, Thomas. We could be generating $15,000 monthly in passive income." I declined less politely this time and told her my property wasn't part of her HOA and never would be. That's when the games began. A welcome to Linda's Mountain Retreat sign mysteriously appeared at the end of my private driveway. I took it down. It reappeared the next day, attached with industrial-strength adhesive. Strangers began showing up at all hours asking for check-in instructions. One couple from Denver actually had a confirmation email and receipt for a 3-night stay. My mailbox was replaced overnight with a decorative cabin-themed box shaped like a moose with a slot in its back. I have security footage of Linda personally installing it at 2 in the morning, wearing all black like some sort of suburban ninja. I called the county sheriff's office. They said it was a civil matter. I called the postal service about the mailbox. They said to file a complaint online. Linda, however, was just getting started. She listed my cabin on 7 different rental sites, complete with professional photos that weren't even of my property. The interior shots showed a completely different cabin with a hot tub and marble countertops. Mine has neither. The description promised mountain luxury with concierge service and complimentary wine tastings. She even created fake 5-star reviews from people named things like Madison B. and Tyler K., who raved about the transformative mountain experience. Over Memorial Day weekend, she went nuclear. She had apparently booked my cabin to 4 different groups simultaneously and pocketed deposits totaling $8,000. When the first family showed up Friday evening, I had to explain that no, I wasn't the caretaker, and no, they couldn't come in, and no, there wasn't a welcome basket with Artisol cheeses waiting for them. By Sunday, I turned away 12 different groups, all waving confirmation emails from Linda's various fake hospitality accounts. I documented everything, every interaction, every trespasser, every fake listing. I sent cease and desist letters through my attorney. Linda's response was to file a police report claiming I was a dangerous squatter who had broken into a rental property and was refusing to leave. She told them she had owned the cabin for 5 years, and I was a disgruntled former tenant who had changed the locks. She actually manufactured fake lease agreements with my forged signature and everything. Which brings us back to that Saturday morning with the deputies at my door. I remained calm despite my blood pressure probably hitting stroke levels. I invited Deputy Harrison inside and pulled out my filing cabinet. "Here's my deed from 2004, I said, laying it on the table. "Here are 20 years of property tax receipts. Here's the mortgage satisfaction letter from 2016. Here's my homeowner's insurance policy. And here," I said, "with satisfaction is security footage of Linda trespassing on my property 16 times in the last month, including this gym where she's measuring. My deck while saying on the phone that the yoga platform will generate an extra 50 per booking." Deputy Harrison's expression shifted from suspicious to confused to angry, but not at me. He stepped outside and I heard him speaking sharply to Linda. "Mrs. Garrison, you filed a false police report. That's a felony. You provided fraudulent documents. That's another felony. You've been collecting money for a property you don't own. That's fraud and theft." Linda's voice went up 3 octaves. "But he's not using it properly," she screeched. "The community needs this space. I have a business plan." I watched through the window as she pulled out her phone trying to start an Instagram live stream. She narrated to her followers that she was being persecuted for her entrepreneurial vision and that the corrupt system was protecting property hoarders. That's when Deputy Harrison had heard enough. "Mrs. Garrison, you're under arrest for filing a false police report, criminal fraud, theft by deception, and criminal trespass." The look on her face was priceless. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "But I'm the HOA president," she sputtered as they cuffed her. "I have a leadership award from the Meadowstone Ladies Auxiliary. This is discrimination against female entrepreneurs." The other board member who had come with her actually started recording, and I heard him mutter something about calling an emergency meeting to discuss her removal. The arrest video went viral within hours. Someone in the Meadowstone Estates Facebook group posted it with a caption, "Ha President arrested for trying to steal neighbor's cabin." The comments section exploded. Turns out Linda had been pulling similar schemes with other properties. 3 other homeowners came forward saying she had tried to forcibly incorporate their homes into her rental empire. One elderly couple said she had actually listed their garden shed as a tiny home romantic getaway. By Monday, the full scope of Linda's crimes became clear. She had collected over $40,000 in deposits for my cabin alone. She had created 12 different rental listings across multiple platforms. She had forged documents not just for my property, but for 6 others. The district attorney charged her with 37 separate counts, including organized fraud, identity theft, and racketeering. Yes, racketeering like she was some sort of suburban mob boss. Her Instagram account, Linda's Luxury Escapes, lost 10,000 followers in 2 days. The comments on her last post, which ironically was about manifesting abundance through property wisdom, were brutal. Someone found out she didn't even own her own house and was actually renting a condo 2 towns over. The HOA board held an emergency meeting that Tuesday and voted unanimously to remove her as president. They also voted to ban her from all HOA properties and events in perpetuity. But the best part came during her arraignment. The judge looked at the charges and the evidence and actually laughed. Not a chuckle, but a full laugh. "Mrs. Garrison," the judge said, "you essentially tried to run an Airbnb empire with other people's houses without their knowledge or consent. That's not entrepreneurship. That's theft." Her lawyer tried to argue that she had made improvements to the properties by marketing them, but the judge cut him off. Marketing someone else's property without permission isn't an improvement, counsel. It's fraud. Linda tried to speak for herself, which her lawyer desperately tried to prevent. "Your Honor, I was simply maximizing underutilized resources in a difficult economy. These properties were sitting empty on weekends when families could be making memories." The judge's response was swift. Mrs. Garrison, you're looking at potential prison time of up to 15 years and fines exceeding $200,000. The only memories being made here are going to be yours in a federal correctional facility. Linda fainted right there in the courtroom. Just collapsed like someone had unplugged her. They had to call paramedics and everything. When she came around, she was muttering about her vision board and how this wasn't how her manifestation journal said things would go. The baif actually had to carry her out because she refused to walk, claiming her chakras were misaligned from the negative energy of the justice.